Hey everybody, this is Steve Schmid with Simple Pump Company. Today what we want to show you is how to go from your LBLD drive to your lever arm. So a video showing you how the steps that you have to take to get from, let's say that the battery dies or some other issue where you want to go back to the hand pump. The video today will show you how to remove that drive system and put that handle on. All right, let's get started. All right, so the tools that are going to be required for this job, we're going to need a couple of crescent wrenches so that we can disconnect the rod extension from the standard pump rod. You don't need a safety tool for this particular step, but I've always got it. You're going to need a 5/16 Allen for the clevis on the LBLD. You're going to need a 3/16 to be able to remove the 1/4-20 bolts from the back of the plate. I use a ratchet, or a ratchet to do that, so I'll use that with these. And then you'll need a 9/64 to pull the smaller bolts that hold the cover on. So these are the extent of the tools that you're going to need to have in order to remove and to remove the LBLD, as well as put the handle back on. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get the handle off, or the cover off, and that's just 6 bolts. What I would suggest you doing before you start this process, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to disconnect the power. Even though we do have the dry switch is shut off, I always like to make sure there's no power running so that it's a lot safer. There's moving parts in there. We want to make sure nobody hurts themselves. All right, so the cover's done. We'll go put this over here. The next thing you'll want to do is we'll want to loosen these clevis bolts here so that we can pull the system up and off of the pump head assembly. Okay, once those are loose, you can see here this is now spinning freely. We will then remove, get our 3/16 here, and we will remove the bolts that hold the drive on to the pump head. All right, now we have all 4 of those bolts out. You want to loosen these so that as you're bringing the system up, they can move a little in case you're pulling it up not straight, and they won't get bound up. Should make it a little easier to pick up. Because it's loose in there. There we go. Sometimes get a little bind right here on the clevis. So you just got to kind of jiggle it a little bit. So now we've got our drive off. We'll go put this to the side. All right, the next thing we'll do is we will remove the pump rod extension. Remember, this is left-hand threads, so to loosen, it'll be like you're tightening. All right. So we'll go ahead and remove that. All right, so now we are back to the point where we can actually put the handle back on. So we've removed the drive system, and now we want to put that handle back on. So we've got our assembly. You want to make sure that your handle assembly is completely together. Right? You've got your bracket connected to your link arm connected to your lever arm, and your clevis connected to the end of the lever arm. The way I like to do this is I like to connect this first. Remember, we're going left-hand threads, so this is going to come around this way. We'll just kind of leave that hang there for a second. Grab one of our crescent wrenches. Make sure that this is tight. And remember, you're going to go counterclockwise in order to tighten it. Get it all the way. I usually will use the handle as a bit of leverage to get that tight. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to get your 1/4 1/2" bolts. The ones we just removed are 3/4 inch long. So these need to be a little bit shorter. We'll go ahead and just use a standard Allen wrench for this one. Now, what you're going to see is that these don't line up. The holes don't line up, and that's as designed. Right now, the rods are all the way down, so the piston is sitting on the bottom of the cylinder. And we don't want it to be like that for normal operation, because we want to make sure that when you do a full stroke, there's no contact at the bottom or the top of the cylinder. So you've got to lift that rod up a little ways in order to get that alignment to happen. So once you've lifted it up, and it can be a little tricky with one person, but all you're going to do is thread in your 1/4 bolts. Now, I will tell you right now, we are in development of just a little tool, and it's just made of PVC that will go right here and clip over this rod and allow you to not have to hold the rod up once you've gotten it to that location, because it'll rest in between this rod gland and the clevis. That should be ready here actually in the next couple of weeks. That will be standard with all pump systems moving forward, and are obviously available to purchase to anybody that has a system already. All right, so we've got all 4 of our bolts on. So we're just gonna go ahead and tighten them up. All right, there we go. The handle is on, and now we should be able to just use it like we would with the hand pump. So there you go. It's all done, and thank you very much for your time today. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.